to start the recording of this session. Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon, students.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Very good
Good
afternoon to one and
afternoon,
all.
sir.
Very good afternoon. I'm going to share my screen so that you are able to see my presentation. Students, are you able to see my presentation? Is it clear and visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for your response. So this is what the thing we are going to see. The subject code, this course code for this course is UDIT CO3. That is sorry, O not O03, and the course name is Object Oriented Programming. And then we are going to discuss today about the continuation of last class topic because I stopped at the third concepts of object oriented programming concept. So today's class we are going to see the continuation of the last class. So this was the agenda I planned: attendance at the start and end, then introduction about myself, etiquette to be followed, learning objectives and outcome, recap of the previous session, whatever we took, introduction about the topic, then detailed explanation about the topic, then summarization, Q&A, feedback if any. This is what. Students, am I audible to everyone? My voice is clear to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. With this, I am proceeding to the next thing as per our agenda, that is attendance section. So, students, please unmute your audio so that you can able to mark your presence. Answer attendance, guys. Mohammed Etisam. Etisam.
Present, sir.
Yeah. Babita.
Present, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Present, sir.
Present. Christinal.
Present, sir.
Danushma. Dr. Danushma.
Present, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Sir.
Vishnunath. Yeah. Okay, ma. I mark you present. Vishnunath.
Present, sir.
Akash. A. Akash. Yes. Akash. Yes. Yes. The questions is there. Andres Jabbar. Aravind. Ashwin Vinod.
Present, sir.
Ashutosh Padi.
Present, sir.
Ashwin Nair. Balaji. Balaji. Bhaskar. Balaji present. Yeah, okay. Bhunesh. Okay.
Sir, Bhunesh present, sir. Present, sir.
Bhunesh. Yeah, okay. Bye.
Present, sir.
Gautam. Yeah, okay. Bye. Gautam Reddy.
Present, sir.
Yeah, okay. Jagadishwaran. Kishore.
Present, sir.
Krishna Prasad.
Present, sir.
Mohammed.
Present, sir.
Yeah, Tamimullah. Then Mohammed ARS. Absent. Murli Krishna.
Present, sir.
Praveen Balaji.
Yes, sir. Present, sir.
Premnath.
Present, sir.
Rakesh.
Present, sir.
Regis Benne. Rishabh Bandia. Rohan Kumar.
Present, sir. Sir, present, sir. Rohan Kumar.
Yeah, okay. Rohan Kumar present. Yeah, okay. Sangalingam. Tarang.
Present, sir.
Tarang. Yeah, okay. Sadish. Sheikh Shajan,
Present, sir.
Shahrukh Basha, Shobit.
Sir.
Yeah, who's this? Shobit.
Sir, present.
Uh, then one more voice I heard. Okay, Shobit present. Sriraj.
Sir, Shobit, present.
Yeah, okay, okay, I know that.
Present, sir.
Okay, pa. Sri Sanjay,
Present, sir.
Sri Hariram,
Present, sir.
Srilesh,
Present, sir.
Vignesh,
Present, sir.
Vikram, Vivek Kumar.
Present, sir.
Sir, Vikram present, sir.
Okay, okay. One more. Vivek Kumar and then again Vivek Kumar Singh.
Present, sir.
Okay, okay. Aravind present. Okay. Then Vivek, Loki,
Present, sir.
Hari Arjun, Kolayash, Jagannathan, Hemachandran,
Present, sir.
Ramaya Muthu, Jagannathan. Jagannathan. Ramaya Muthu, absent. Okay. Save the attendance. At the end also we are going to take the same. So with this I am moving to the next thing. So far we discussed about the introduction about myself and etiquettes.
Sir,
The
excuse
past
me,
week.
sir.
Yeah, tell pa.
Sir, this is Bhuvneshwaran, sir. Sir, I'm facing some network issues, sir. I didn't able to see the screen, sir.
Oh, your side you are facing network issues.
Yes, sir. I can't able to see the screen, sir, which was presenting you PPT.
Mm, any other issues pa? Is everyone seeing my screen? For everyone other than Bhuvneshwar, everyone visible?
Yes, sir.
Uh, then I'm not able to help anymore. So I will share the recorded video, okay, ba? So that you can
Okay,
see
sir.
my presentation later.
Okay. Okay, sir.
It will be available in the Teams website itself. So you can later on you can verify or you can also view the video for your preparation.
Okay, sir.
That is
Thank you,
what
sir.
from my end I will right now do. Okay, ba? Because if everyone facing
Okay,
the
sir.
same issues means I will check out my end. But if you are
Mm.
not facing issues means I am helpless. That's all. Okay, ba?
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Let's listen so that you can
Mm.
later on you can see the presentation through my video. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thanks. Pa. Introduction adequates. We already discussed so far in the past week. So I'm going to skip those two slides and then straight away moving to the learning objective and outcome. So this is a learning objective, that is to learn basic concepts of OOP. Then after learning this, whatever the thing you are going to achieve means to apply the object-oriented approach to programming and identify the potential benefits of object-oriented programming to solve engineering problems. That is what we are going to attain after the completion of unit number 1. This is what. Then the next thing is recap of the previous class. So I am going to just refresh whatever we discussed on the last class. So last class we started with object-oriented programming concepts, or in other words, OOP paradigms or principles of OOP. That is what we started. So in this, there are 7 concepts available. Can anyone just narrate that? What are the 7 concepts available? Anyone? If you remember means, just you can make a small narration.
For object,
Yeah,
class, data abstraction and encapsulation,
exactly.
inheritance, polymorphism,
Yeah,
dynamic binding, message passing.
yeah, exactly. Nice. Your name?
Sir, Bhaskar.
Bhaskar. Yeah. Thanks, Bhaskar, for your nice response. So this is what the 7 object-oriented programming paradigms or concepts or principles of OOP in other words. So under this under the 7 concepts, 3 concepts we already seen. That is the first 3 is object, class, and then the data encapsulation and abstraction. So this is what we see in the last class. So object means it is the runtime living or non-living entities. That is all the living particles and non-living particles taken into an account, which is going to be referred as object. That is what the thing. So you are the you is the object, myself is the object, our machine, mouse, maybe if you having printer, if you having any musical, that is speakers, then everything comes under this object. It is living, non-living entities. Done. Then the second thing, classes. So in the classes, it's a collections of object with maybe similar type or unsimilar type. So it is just a collections of objects. So you are in the room and listening the classes or listening lecture. So the room is going to be called as the class. That is the collection, because in the room we are having some electrical appliances. You are having some things, that's all. And then you are sitting, then you are using some appliances. So all are comes under living and non-living things comes under this class called room. That is what. So class is the collections of object. That is what the simple. Then next one, third point. That third concept is abstraction, data abstraction or data encapsulation. In the sense, data abstraction means we are going to hide the background code when you are supplying the same or deploying the same software to the user end, that is end customer. While you're supplying, we are going to hide all those things in order to provide security to your code, because as a programmer you have the whole rights or full rights to abstract all your code. That is what data abstraction. Then data encapsulation, in order to add more securable future to your program, we are going to divide our program into 2 things. First one is container class and another one is main class. This main container, class container, main container. So combining this both, we are call it as a entire C++ program. So the wrapping up of data, that is member variable and member function within class and also in the main function into one single unit is going to be referred as data encapsulation, just like our wrapper with candy or candy with wrapper, anything. This is what we discussed so far in the last class. So today's class, we are going to see the continuation of the rest of the concepts. With this, I will stop. Guys, I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thanks for your response. Yeah. Thanks for your response. So the fourth concept under object-oriented programming is inheritance. So I'm going to see the uh, so with this only we discussed the last class thing. So inheritance. Friends, are you able to see my screen PDF? I will zoom it
Yes,
also.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll zoom it out. Okay, fine. So what is this inheritance means? The simple example is, or simple examples are, you and also myself is part of this inheritance concept in the real time, not in the programming point of view, real time. So actually, we are having some characters of our father, our mother, some cases our grandfather also. So generally, we people tell that as a hereditary. In the sense, some transition from the previous to the newer or older to the newer. That is what we generally tell us, hereditary. The same thing we can also do in the programming, that technically named as inheritance. That is, the technical definition for inheritance is, it is the process by which objects of one class acquire the properties of objects of another class. Example, you are going to write a program for a calculator, simple calculator. Example. So you already wrote the code for addition. You want to reuse the code, but you want to change the operator merely. Then you can making the copy and paste. Instead, you can also reuse the code. The reusability of code is going to be referred as inheritance. That is the main feature in OOPS concept. So reusability of code is called as inheritance. That is, we are inheriting the property, some properties from our grandfather or father or mother. And in addition to that, we are also having our uniqueness. That is what the thing. So while we are getting into deeper, that is in the upcoming units, maybe third or fourth unit, we are going to discuss this as a deep manner. Okay, simple example I am telling. You can take any example. You can take the computer also. So computer, there are so many generations of computer. The sorry, not the generation, classifications of computer. So under classification, we are having the desktop computer, we are having the laptop computer, we are having the tablets, we are having the smartphone. There are so many categories. Likewise, if you taken up the tree example, under tree, we have so many trees available. Neem tree available, banyan tree available, plantain tree available, so many trees. The same thing. If you take any fruits is a general. With this, we are having guava, we are having any melons, we are having jackfruit. There's so many apple, mango. There's so many fruits available. Likewise, the example discussed in the notes is birds. So under birds also, we are having so many classifications. We have pigeon, we have robin, we have crow, we have the sparrow. There are so many things available. The main point is, there is one main category. From that main category, some of the properties acquired by the newer class. Some of the properties, not the entire property. For example, technical manner, consider one program. That program function having two functions inside, or a class with two functions. You are writing another class. In that class, you are going to use the one function of the previous class. Means it is possible to inherit. If you want to inherit two functions also, means it is also possible. In addition to that, you are going to use another function. That is what. So example, we can also have the humans, and then there are so many categories at all. So likewise, in each and every part, yeah, going to taken as an example for this inheritance. So the main thing here is reusability. That is what, and it's a very important concept in OOPS also. So this is what I told, vehicle. So in the vehicle, we are having land vehicle, water vehicle. And that under land vehicle, we have car, we have truck, we have hovercraft. Under water vehicle, we have boat, we have ships, that is some containers. Example, we can take an hovercraft. So these are all some examples for the inheritance concept. So the land vehicle going to take some property of the vehicle, because what are the property? Maybe there is a question comes to your mind. What are the property we are going to inherit? Means in general, vehicle has a property. If it is a four-wheeler, the vehicle has four wheels. The vehicle has clutches. The vehicle has a speedometer, brakes, steering, like that. Some properties are there. But in addition to that, each and every vehicle has its own uniqueness feature, because each and every vehicle is different. Because if you taken up the share auto, there is omni share auto, that is different. That usage is different. If you have the normal hatchback vehicle, that is different. Normal seater vehicle is different. SUV is different. There are different uniqueness we are having. But in general, we call it as a vehicle only, because it has a steering, it has a clutches, it has a speedometer, it has a brakes, it has four wheels, like that. Okay, ba? These are some of the examples. So any queries, any questions, or I can move to next concept, students.
Yes, sir.
Any queries, or I will if there is no queries, means I will move to the next concept.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for your response. Then the next one is polymorphism. So for the OOPS concept, there are no programming point of view. So after completion of this, I will show some of the concepts of programming. You will really study the all those concepts in the laboratory session. Okay. So polymorphism. Polymorphism means taking more than one form. That is what the best that is what the best definition for polymorphism. So example I am telling, real example, and then we move it to the technical deeper. The real example is, consider you as a human being acting as a son or daughter to your parent. The same, if you are coming to your street, you are going to be called as a locality person. The same, if you are moving to the road, on the road, you are going to be called as a citizen of India or citizen of Tamil Nadu, regional. Then, if you are proceeding and coming to the college, you are acting as a student. So, a single person, you acting as a son or daughter in your home, locality person in your street, while you are coming to the road, you are going to be called as a citizen, and while you are coming to the college, you are going to called as a student. So one person acting personalities was different. That is what the polymorphism. In program, we are having three concepts to perform more than one form, because in the older days there is for each and every work there will be one person. But nowadays, if a person doing a single work, maybe with 100% perfection, is not able to recognize by anyone. But if that particular person doing multiple works at a time, then that will be appreciated or appreciable by all persons. That is what the thing or scenario right now going on. Same way, the program also going to react. Not only doing the particular job or allotted job, it's also going to perform additional jobs. That is what the concept called polymorphism. Example. Before getting into the example, there are two flavors available with polymorphism. The first one is compile time polymorphism. Second one is runtime polymorphism. Means while the compilation itself, you supply all the data so that it's going to take more than multiple forms or one form. That is what compile time. Under compile time, we are having two types, that is function overloading and then operator overloading. Then next type of the polymorphism are runtime polymorphism. It means there is only one thing, virtual functions. So this is what the concept. So the first one, function overloading and operator overloading. What it means, I will tell with an example. Polymorphism. So under this, the first one is compile time polymorphism. I don't want to type entirely. And then second one is run time polymorphism. So under compile time polymorphism, we are having function overloading and then operator overloading. Then under runtime, we are having only one thing, that is virtual function. So what is meant by this function overloading? Means a function name going to do multiple jobs or multiple assignments. In the sense, example, I am asking you the word or okay, we can take the word. The word area is specifically meant for square object, or it can be also applicable to multiple objects and shapes. Please answer whether the word area is going to specifically apply for the shape square, or you can also apply the same word to multiple shapes. This is what my question, whether it is possible or not.
Possible.
Possible. Just remember your mathematics examples or mathematical formulas. So area of square available, area of rectangle available, area of circle available. So if you are doing the same in the program, what are thing you are doing means area function is common, but though the function name is same for circle, square and rectangle, you are performing three different operations. That is, if the area comes into the circle, it's going to act based on the formula you gave. If the same area function get into the square, it's going to be act according to the formula. The same thing for the rectangle. So this is what the function overloading. That is, one particular function going to perform multiple operations. Next one, operator overloading. It means we are going to overload the operator. In the sense, example I am telling, for operator overloading, the best example is plus symbol. This is what the best example for operator overloading. I will tell. What does that means? A plus A plus B. So this is one flavor. Another flavor, this is the another flavor. So actually, next one I will also tell next one. S1 S1 is equal to H. Then S2 is equal to I. Then S3 is equal to S1 plus S2. So the first two is also possible. The second one is also possible. So first two operations going to add the variables with the whole numbers. Consider this as integer. Integer A, comma B. C is equal to A plus B. Consider like this. So first one we are going to merely add two whole numbers, but the second one we are going to add two strings. This H is called as one string and I is called as another string. And in the third one we are clubbing the S1 string and S2 string as well, but with the operator called plus. Here, this plus operator is going to be act as a arithmetic operator, but the same here plus symbol going to be act as a concatenation operation. This is what the operator overloading. We are overloading the operator to do more than one work. Guys, it is okay? Are you following me? Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
For runtime polymorphism, we are having only one thing, that is virtual. In the later on section, we will discuss it. So until this, I conclude the polymorphism concept. Okay, ma'am. So this is what I told. So draw line also we are having draw function. Triangle also we have draw function. Rectangle, circle. Draw function is common, but we are in the line we have the different coordinates. Triangle we have the different coordinates. This was the example. Then the next one, that is the sixth concept, dynamic binding. So before dynamic binding, there are binding is also allowable. Under binding only, we are having the static binding and dynamic binding. So what is meant by binding means, name itself, it reveals that binding, that is bond. Bonding between two things. That is what the binding or binding between two things. What are two things means? You are having the variables. You are supplying the values. So this is what the thing I will tell. You are having the variables S1. You are having the variables S2. So for S1, you are going to supply one value. For S2, you are going to supply one value. After that only the operation is going to be starts. This is what. So in this point only binding going to be happen. That is, it going to check the value for S1. It going to check the value for S2. So if the values are already supplied within the program, that is called as the static binding. So this entire program is the example for static binding. That is, we already supplied the value for S1 and S2 as well. And then we are performing some concatenation operation. So already supplied means it is going to be referred as the static binding. But some cases you are getting the value for the variable S1, value for the string variable S2 from the user, means the scenario gets different. Means at the black screen, you after your execution only, the user going to enter manually the data. The data can be entered by the user manually. After that only the binding happens. It means for the S1, the value entered by the user gets mapped, and for S2 also the user entered data gets mapped. After that only operation starts. So this is what the dynamic binding. Dynamic binding means within a fraction of second, whatever the user gives the data gets appended or updated to the variable available. So dynamic binding in the sense it will always gets changed because it depends upon the user only or the problem only. The user will give the numbers. For example, if you are for the if you are going to find the eligibility for voting means some user will enter 18, some user will be enter 21, 26, 30, 50, 60. Some cases some user will enter 10. So the number of inputs gets different, so that you will get the different sets of output. That is what the dynamic binding. During the runtime only, you are able to make the binding between the variables and its values. That is what. So the main thing is runtime. Main keyword is runtime. That is what the dynamic binding. Then the last one, message communication. That is message passing. Message passing in the sense we already discussed about object and class as well. So your class itself, the example for class. Your class in the sense you are third year naval, final year naval, or second year naval. These are all the examples. Under classroom, you are all going to be act as an object. During the class or after the completion of the class, you are going to have a conversation with your neighbor people or neighbor friend. That is what the message passing. One object gets communicated with the other object is called as the message passing or message communication. So the object will send the data or receive the data. For example, if you are having integer a comma b comma c, here a and b is meant for the addition, and we are storing the output in the C means A is going to receive the data, B is also going to receive the data. In turn, A and B going to send the data to C. So we have some sort of communication between this A and B. This is what the communication establishment happens. But once the object gets eradicated or deleted, then there is no communication possible at all. Consider you are in the class, your friend is also in the class. Then you are able to make a conversation. But after a while or after a time, you or your friend quit from the class, then move to the next class means whether the particular person able to converse with that same person means the answer was not, because there is no person available. The same thing happens in object communication also. Once the object gets deleted, the communication establishment was not possible. This is what the thing. So with this, I'm concluding the object-oriented programming concepts. Still, you are having any doubts, any queries, or shall I move the next one, students? Shall I proceed to the next one? Next topic?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Thanks for the response. The next one, advantages of OOP. So advantages in the sense complexity. First advantages is complexity of software can be managed easily. The second point, data hiding concept. The third point, inheritance concept. So as the in the earlier class we discussed, the main concept, the main thing in C++ is security. So security can be achieved with the help of this data hiding and data encapsulation. So that is the primary advantage. Then we are having one concept called reusability, that is inheritance. So with that also we are going to achieve the securable program. So that also comes into the advantages portion. So the next point, message passing concept. Message passing concept helps the programmer to communicate with different objects. Then new data and function can be easily added whenever necessary. That is, as earlier I told that we can add number of classes. any number of classes. Not only it restricted to use only one class, you can also have the multiple classes. Class 1, class 2, class 3, up to class n we are going to have. So anytime we can add the new variables, new functions to the class, and some cases you can create new classes also. That is what the thing. Then last point, OOPS ties data elements more closely to the functions that operates on. That is, the within the class, because a class is itself going to act as a container. Within that container, we are having variables, we are having function. So it is the type coupled container. That is what the thing advantages of OOP. Then, then the applications. When we coming to the application side, nowadays each and every part having or using the computer. So everywhere the computer usage happens nowadays, so that the application comes from all the sides. You can apply the C++, that is a OOPS concept, to everywhere. You can have it in the educational system, educational institutions. You can apply into any transactions, maybe banking transactions or to the normal transaction. Any transaction you can apply. So banking sector, education sector, law, there is jurisdiction. You can also apply that. You can also apply it in the navigation area. You can apply into the ships because your people belongs to the naval. For the ship construction, measurements can be also precisely done with the help of this C++ or specifically OOP concept. Okay, because OOP, there are so many programming languages available. With this OOP concept, we can also apply some measurements and taken it very precisely. Most probably it will be helpful for the ship designing, as you are the offshore people. Okay, so for the mechanical people also, we are having CAD CAM. There are so many things available with the help of this OOP concepts. That is what the advantages. Then we are now really entering into our the thing, that is the programming part, C++. So when the C++ invented, means in the 1980s early, that is early 1980s only. Then the AT&T Bell laboratories, wherever the C programming found, the same laboratory only, the C++ also developed and invented by some person under AT&T laboratories. So it can be developed by the person called Jane. So be silent when you are pronouncing Jane Strostrup. So he's the inventor of the programming language called C++. Can anyone know the name of the inventor of the programming language C? Anyone? Have you remembered that? Because you already studied in your first year, I guess.
Dennis Ritchie.
Yeah, exactly. Dennis Ritchie is the inventor for the programming language C, because each and every programming language has its own inventor. So, yeah, Jane Strostrup is a student of that particular professor, that is Ritchie. So, he found that some flaws in the programming language C. So, he added some more features and he released the programming language called C++. That is what. So C++ is itself called as the inheritance concept. It has the features of C, but in addition to that, C++ also have some more features. That is what. So the first one, the first point, Storestrup combines the features of C language and Simula 67 to create more powerful language that support OOPS concept. And that language was named C with classes earlier, and in 1983 only it will be changed to C++. So the former name for C++ is C with classes because it will contains the OOP concepts. Later only it get changed C++. It is what some short introduction. Then the structure of the C program. So now we are really getting much deeper to our program. I will tell the concepts later on. We will going to discuss all those things elaborately. So structure of the C program. First part is the header file declaration section. The second thing, global declaration section. And the third thing, class declaration section. The next thing, main function. And the next thing, method definition section. So these are all the various sections available under the structure of C++ program. So while you are going to write the C program, you want to follow the structure. Some sections may be optional. It depends upon the taken problem. You are going to add, you are going to skip the sections. It depends upon the problem. But basically, there is a header file section, there is a class section, there is a main section. Okay, so in the next class, maybe in tomorrow's class, we are going to discuss in detail about the structure of C++ program. So with this, I'm going to conclude. Students having any doubts or queries? Any Q&A, any feedback, if any?
Sir,
Students? Yeah, tell pa.
that can you explain that dynamic
Ah,
binding, that concept somewhat
ah,
confusing. That is
yeah.
new to me. That's why asking you.
Okay. Fine, very fine. Good question. So binding means you are going to bind two things. Two things normally is called as binding. If you're having two papers, you are applying glue, then it is going to be called as binding. Are you sure, pa?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. So if you apply glue between two papers, it will be going to bind as a one paper. That is a normal thing. But the same thing, if you are taken in the program, means there are two flavors available for this binding. So one is value and another one is variable. So variable you already declared. Value also you are going to supply to that particular variable. So the thing is, you are going to map the variable with its value or value with its variable. That is what the thing. Because as I told earlier, if you are having two papers or a single paper with the two sides, then only you are able to apply the glue and make a binding. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So likewise, in the program, we are having two parts. One is value, one is variable. So value with variables or variables with the values only, you are able to proceed and continue the operation. So for that, there are two types available under programming, that is static binding and dynamic binding. So static binding means in the program itself, you supply the input. Okay, the program itself, you supplied the input. For example, A is equal to 5, B is equal to 6. Now you are trying to add two numbers, that is A plus B, means it will show the output because you already supply the value for A, variables for A, variable for B. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So you can
getting.
easily add up the things, A plus B. But in the runtime, this is called static binding because already values available. Each and every time you execute the program, it will tell or it will give the same output only. For example, A is equal to 5, B is equal to 6 means every time if you execute, it will return only the output called 11. But if you are entering the value at the black screen after execution, then it is going to be called as dynamic binding. The word or the meaning for dynamic means it will get changed. That is what the real meaning. The same thing, you are entering one value. So from the black screen, you are passing the value to the variables which is available under blue screen. Are you getting my point?
Hmm. Okay,
So
sir. I'm
from
getting,
the
sir.
time, you are going to supply or you are going to make a mapping to the particular variable. So in the runtime only, you are going to map the value for A, value for B, then you are going to perform the addition operation. This is what the dynamic binding. Some cases, if you missed the values for any variable, it will throw an error.
Hmm.
This is what the dynamic binding. Are you clear? I want to explain with any
Hmm.
other example.
Okay. Okay, sir. It's clear.
Okay, okay, fine. Then any other Q&A? Question answers?
Sir, can you explain any example for message communication, sir? Real time
Any
example.
other examples for message passing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, message passing means communication between one or more objects. So before making a communication, you want to establish, and then you are making a communication. That is, you are sending the data and you are receiving the data. That is what the message passing. You want examples, you want the concept.
Example, sir.
Example. So one example, I told that you are in the class, your friend is also in the class, you are making a conversation. If you or your friend move to the next class, means you or your friend not able to communicate with each other because the person already moved. That is what. So if one object persists within the class, we can communicate. If the object does not in the class, we cannot able to communicate. I will tell one example. Another example, not the same example, another example. Mm, B is equal to A and E is equal to B, C, D minus. So simple addition I am taking here. If the objects values available for A, values available for B, then only the two objects get communicated with each other, and then in turn the result stored in the variable D. And afterwards, next line D minus C. So the variable D get communicated with the variable with C, so that the communication established. So after that, if you are using the function called return E, then it means it's going to return the value, that is communicate the value E to the some other object. Some other object in the sense some other objects in another class. For example, also I will take the another example. Void void integer sorry typo integer add. It's a function. So here I used integer a comma b, putting the semicolon. So again I am using a is equal to 5 semicolon, b is equal to 6. Then afterwards I am using c also. C is equal to a plus b, putting the semicolon, and then I am closing this. Sorry, not closing this. Return C semicolon and then this one. So I will delete the previous things so that you can able to catch. So this is one function. Okay, So another one, I'm having main function, void main. So within this, I'm going to call this function add. Then I'm going to use the out concept, the C out concept for printing. So here the addition value or addition value is, then I'm using putting the semicolon and then closing the main function. Okay, Papa? Program was clear? So here I
Yes,
will
sir.
now explain about how the message passing happens. So A for value A, so for variable A, value supply, for variable B, value supply, and then A and B gets communicated with each other, and then the operations happens. That is arithmetic operation, addition operation happens. After that, the result gets stored with C. Then I am using return C. So the value stored with the C gets communicated with other part. Other part means this is under class. For example, consider this is class NAVAL, and then pressing the enter, and then at last I am closing the class. Okay, so under the class naval, the object C located, it's going to get communicate the result to the object, sorry, to the main function, which is to be another container. So here in the main function, if add function encountered means it's going to call this function. After execution, it will return C, that is the result, and then result gets communicated with the container main function. So class is the one container, main function is the another container. The result of the class container gets communicated with main container. This is what the communication establishes. Now, is it clear to you, or still I want to explain with another example?
Yes, sir. It is clear, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, then any other Q&A? Any other Q&A or feedback? Shall I wind up? Students?
No, sir.
Okay.
No,
So
sir.
with this,
No, sir.
okay,
No, sir.
okay, fine. So with this, I'm going to wind up the session. I will stop the sharing of my screen, then also stop the recording as well.